Earful Tower listeners, it's another Monday in Paris, and we all know what that means. It means another episode of the Earful Tower podcast. Now, if it's your first time listening, welcome. This is a show where I'm the host, Oliver G. I try and figure out France with the help of a special guest each week. And this week is a very special guest indeed. It's Michael Huffman, who runs the Paris Chocolate Guru. And if you haven't guessed it already, we're talking about chocolate. What do the French people think about chocolate? Where can you get good chocolate in Paris? What should you bring to a French dinner party in terms of chocolate? He answers all these questions and many more. And yeah, we're going to be doing, as we mentioned in the episode, we're going to be doing a walk show together in just a couple days for the subscribers to this show. More details about that later, but enjoy the show.
One man, one country, one red scooter. Here's the Earful Tower with Oliver G.
Okay, Michael Huffman, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Olivier.
Olivier. The French, you went for the French pronunciation there.
I did.
How good is your French?
C'est pas mal.
How long have you been in France?
En français?
No.
Okay.
You will lose me straight away.
I've been in France 2 years straight, but I've been coming here since I was 19 years old.
Okay, wow. Well, for the listeners who don't know how old you are, though, that doesn't mean much.
That's true. I've got a lot of gray hair, let's put it that way.
You know, I've asked a lot of people on this show how old they are, and no one's ever told me an answer, I don't think. But that's all right. So we're sitting here in Paris on a really hot Sunday. We've got the window open behind me, the door open behind you. So if there's ambient noises, we're just going to go with it, right?
All right.
Okay. So we need to talk about chocolate.
Indeed we do.
Right. You're the Paris chocolate guru.
I am.
Let's start with the most important. How does one get to the stage that they call himself a guru?
Oh, man.
How are you any better from the rest of us?
I have been tasting chocolate in Paris since 2011.
Okay.
And I went to about 80 different chocolate shops. And I asked everybody what their special chocolate was. And after doing that, I came up with a map of like 25 places. And then I just started showing...
What was wrong with the other 55 places?
You know, they didn't really show like the single origin on their label. They were making like Eiffel Towers out of it, or...
Oh, tacky.
Kind of tacky, yeah.
Yeah. And so what happened? So you got your 25 places, you made a list?
I made a list.
Yep, the top 25.
And then I made a map. I found a cartographer, and he made a really cool map for me.
Wow.
And then all my friends were like, geez, you know, when I come to Paris, I want you to show me around. And so that's what I was doing off and on for like the last 5 years.
Hang on, you've been coming to Paris regularly for 2 years, did you say?
Since I was 19, actually.
Oh, you've been coming since you were 19, and then you've been doing sort of chocolate tours for 5 years. And you've been tasting Paris.
Just for friends. And then everybody was like, well, you need to do it for other people because this is really awesome. And I had to agree. Everybody's really happy by the end of the chocolate tour.
Yeah, that was a bit of the ambient noise I was talking about. That was the Gardien walking past.
Okay.
Friendly guy. So then you're doing chocolate tours. You end up making a company out of it.
I ended up making a profession libérale,
right.
Like a service business here. Yeah.
And so you're the master of chocolate. When you were talking about chocolate just then, it reminds me of when people are talking about wine or coffee. Is it the same kind of vibe?
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, good chocolate means that it comes from a good terroir. So it's the same concept in wine as it is in chocolate. So terroir is all about like the climate, the soil, the geography. Yeah, so it's what's in the terroir is like actually what you can taste in the chocolate, even though there aren't any other ingredients.
And what does terroir mean for people who don't know?
Terroir kind of encompasses the location. So soil, climate, vegetation that's nearby. So, for instance, chocolate that's grown in Africa, like in Madagascar, is going to taste totally different than chocolate that's grown in, like near the jungle in Peru or Brazil or Venezuela.
Right. Cool. Okay. So you could say you're a chocolate nerd.
Yeah,
you could.
I could.
Yeah. So we're gonna at some point in the coming episode, you're gonna tell us the 5 best places to go in Paris for chocolate, but not yet.
Not yet.
I want to talk a little bit about how you've come on a pretty unusual path to being a chocolatier, chocolate expert.
Yeah.
You used to be an auditor.
I used to be an auditor.
What happened there? I mean, that's a bit of a...
Oh, man. For 25 years, I was like writing people up for doing stuff wrong.
Right.
You know, I would go to like tuna canneries in Puerto Rico and American Samoa and be like, hey, your production reporting system isn't going so well.
Sure.
And
they must have loved you.
everybody hated me everywhere I went.
Yeah, right.
And so I was like, oh my God, I got to find some other career.
Yep.
other than writing people up.
Yeah, something sweeter.
Something sweeter.
Yeah.
I wasn't making people happy.
Right.
Now I make people happy.
Yeah. What do you? Let's walk through a typical chocolate tour that you do, because also this is something we'll talk about this later as well. You're going to be on one of the Eiffel Tower's walk shows.
Woohoo!
Yeah. You excited about that?
I am.
What are we doing on that, by the way?
We're going to go.
What is it? Thursday, 5 p.m.
Thursday, 5 p.m. We're going to go to 3 different shops, and we're going to go in and taste the specialty from each one.
Did these people know we're coming?
3 of them do.
Yeah, 3 out of 3. That sounds. Hang on, that's all right then.
3 of them do. One of them said no because their brand was too shishi, you might say.
What does that mean?
Like that.
Shishi.
I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, well, maybe we were wearing T-shirts that day.
Oh, right. Okay, this is pretty exciting. I don't think I've had a guest on before talking about an upcoming walk show. Are you nervous about it?
No, that's what I do.
Did you used to do like live walk videos when you were an auditor?
Never.
No, bit of a different vibe.
Totally different
Okay,
vibe.
that's going to be cool. Okay, so you went from people, could we say hating you as an auditor? Okay, to people enjoying what you're doing.
They do. They really leave happy.
Yeah.
They arrive happy. They feel a little guilty
Is it because
when they
of
get
you
there.
or the chocolate?
Could be both, maybe.
So what? One other thing that you do that's kind of cool is this. You point out, without giving too much away, some illegal. What is this?
Yeah.
I don't really understand this.
So there's an ingredient that goes into some chocolate in Paris. There are 3 shops that come to mind that are in the Marais, and they have an illegal ingredient in them that's illegal in Belgium and in the U.S.
What is? I mean, are we going to give it away, or you can hint at it? Why is it illegal?
So it's illegal because it has a chemical in it called coumarin, and it was legal in the U.S. up until like 1954, and they actually invented this stuff. I don't know if you have it in Australia or not, called cream soda.
Cream soda, yeah, I think we have it.
And it was like invented for this.
The drink, right?
This drink, yeah. And then it has like a strong vanilla, honey, caramel flavor.
Right.
But then kind of Big Pharma was like, hey, man, we can make like a heart, like a anticoagulant drug from it by doing some kind of tricky thing in the lab to it. And so we want to cut off the supply of that ingredient coming into the U.S. So the only thing they can use it for in the U.S. is to cover pipe tobacco with it, so that pipe tobacco smells like vanilla and caramel.
Really?
Yeah.
So is this an addictive ingredient in it? Because I think I
For
found
me,
out why people like your tours.
It's turned out to be.
Because they're addicted. It's like doing a cigarette smoking tour, you know? People always come back for more. No, but hang on. Let's get nerdy. I want to change subject for a second because I don't want you to give away what we're going to do either. That's going to be part of the video, I think.
All right.
But I want you to get nerdy and tell me why. So me personally and regular listeners to the show know this. I don't have a fine palate. I don't know the difference between good and bad food so well. But I want you to explain why... explain to an idiot like me why Paris chocolate or French chocolate is considered to be better or indeed worse than the rest of the world's chocolate.
Sure. French chocolate is amazing. They're really the ones that kind of kicked off the artisanal chocolate movement years ago. I mean, right now in the U.S., there's a lot of fine chocolate. And you know something is fine chocolate because you can read the label. You can see not just the percentage of cacao that's in it, but you can also see the single origin that it comes from. And typically, if you can see the species of bean on the label, that's good chocolate. And if you can see the farm that it comes from. So it's very much like wine, like French wine, you know, in a plot in Burgundy, there can be only so many vines and so much wine that comes from this very particular thing. They put that on the label. And so some of these guys have got labels that are super detailed, but all it is chocolate, vanilla, sugar, and soy lecithin. That's the only thing that is allowed to be in fine chocolate.
What was the last thing you said? Soya what?
Soy lecithin.
Okay.
So it's considered an emulsifier.
Right.
A lot of the big boys like Patrick Roger in Paris, he kind of kicked that movement off. But basically, it helped him ship to Tokyo and New York and stuff like that. So,
But what would you say, the beans? Is
the
that what-
beans, yeah.
They're not grown in France.
Not at all.
No.
The cacao beans themselves come from trees that are grown within 20 degrees of the equator.
Okay.
And so it's mostly below the equator. So countries like Belize and Venezuela and Colombia, Madagascar, Indonesia,
Right.
a lot of them have terroir that's associated with that bean, and then certain chocolatiers, the master chocolate chefs, they're like looking for beans from specific countries because each country has cacao beans with a certain flavor profile.
Right. Wow. Okay. So this is the same beans that they make coffee out of?
No,
What's that bean called?
that's a coffee bean.
Oh, this is called a coffee bean.
Yeah.
So why is it called a cacao bean and not a chocolate bean?
Okay, so there are these trees, and they have to grow in shade, and it's typically in the jungle.
Right.
So it is similar to coffee that way. So there are 3 species of bean. A couple of them that are left are really rare. They're the ones that the Aztecs and the Mayans were growing back
the
in
ones
the day.
that make you high if you.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
all their warriors were basically drinking like a hot chocolate with water to kind of get high before going into battle
Right.
and
Right.
doing other things.
Yeah. That's why I have chocolate today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets me ready for battle. Yeah, sorry, go on. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got chocolate that's grown mostly south of the equator. Yeah, so I was checking out some of the locations actually where they grow it to see what it really looks like, right? So you've got a tree growing in the shade, and it has these big pods, and they're a little bit smaller than American footballs, and they're multicolored when they're ripe. And then on the inside, when you cut into it, is like it's like all this white covered seed, kind of like a big fruity mass in there. So you've got this fruit that's white that is 2 things. It's super important to ferment it with this fruit on there, and it tastes great. It's tastes like a combination of like banana, pineapple, strawberry kind of. So when you like bite into one of these like cacao beans, you've got like the bitterness that's inherent in the cocoa bean, and you've got like the sweetness of the fruit that's around it.
Wow. How big were these beans again?
Oh, they're like about as big as a €2 coin,
Okay.
or a quarter in the US.
Yeah. What's that in Australian currency? Coin.
Do you have coins? In
Yeah, we
Australia?
have coins. You know what? This. Thanks for getting nerdy. I like when people get nerdy on this show. I did ask you to. But let's bring it back to Paris. And I did say that I'd ask you for 5 tips. And a lot of people that listen to this show, they're looking for tips. And we've never talked about chocolate tips. So you have the microphone. Recommend to the listeners 5 places they should go if they're going to check out chocolate.
Okay.
But you have to keep it quick, otherwise you will run out of time.
Okay, really quick. Okay, so we've got Jacques Genin.
You don't need to talk faster.
Oh.
just
Give a list.
yeah, go on.
Okay, Jacques Genin.
Oh yeah, I think I know that one. Yeah, I went into that on a walk show with Cake Boy Paris. Frank, that
Okay.
one's nice. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
He's got the illegal ingredient, so
Does he?
that's critical.
Is that the one? He's just got one, not restaurant. What do you call it? One shop.
Yeah, he just got that one shop. He was not a chocolatier by trade. He was doing something else. He wasn't an auditor though, but
No.
he was doing something else.
He was a podcaster.
Could have been that too.
Are we going to his on our walk show? By the way, where are we going to do our walk show? Where in the city is it?
Am I telling? We're going to be in the
You can tell
Marais.
me. Oh, in the Marais. Okay.
In the Marais, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So we won't be going to that one then.
We won't be going to that. It depends on how long you want to walk.
30 minutes. That's about
30
the
minutes?
idea.
Yeah, we could do him.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Continue. I
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
cutting you off.
They're a little bit shishi in there.
Yeah,
you know?
this shishi. You keep saying shishi. Is that
Yeah.
a type of bean, or is that a French word, or is that an American word?
Well, I mean, it's American.
Where are you from in America, by the way?
I'm come from Seattle.
Seattle,
Yeah.
home of the Supersonics
Super
basketball team back in the day.
Seahawks, blah, blah.
My whole knowledge of American cities and states is based on the basketball teams, as some listeners know, including the ones who sent me a Cleveland Cavaliers cap
Oh,
the other day.
You were wearing that when we met the other day.
Yeah. At Cafe Miracle, another
Cafe
old
Miracle.
episode on this. Did you enjoy the
Yeah,
cafe?
I did. It was super anglophone.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Guy is a regular listener to the show. Hi, Guy.
Hey, guy.
If anyone's looking for a coffee after they've had their chocolate, go to Cafe Miracle.
Yeah.
Anyway, I cut you
Awesome.
off. Give me 4 more places to
Okay.
have chocolate.
So after Jacques Genin, I'd recommend Jean-Paul Havin, Hevin. So he's got a couple different places, a couple different locations in Paris, but he's got something that's pretty unique and kind of far out there. So me personally, I like unusual things, and he's got chocolate-covered cheese.
Oh, I like the sound of that too. Chocolate-covered cheese.
Yeah, he calls it like l'apéritif. So it's kind of like something that you would have early on, kind of like a savory
Right.
kind of chocolate.
Oh, I
It's
like
really quite good.
What is it, hard cheese? What is it, melty, soft?
There are
kinda-
4 cheeses, and the 2 that come to mind are Camembert and Roquefort that are inside. And
Yeah,
so Roquefort is really salty, so it's kind of like a salty caramel. It's a strange combination, and honestly, the first time I took guests there, they were freaking out.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, that's cool. It makes more sense than chocolate covered in cheese, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a question for you. So on the upcoming honeymoon trip,
Yeah.
I mean, my fiance Lena
Yeah.
were talking about ideas of videos to do. Yeah. She said we should go to Camembert and try and find like brie cheese and find different cheeses.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Definitely.
Do you think they sell different cheeses in towns like Camembert and Brie and stuff like that?
I have no idea.
Did you make a good video?
Yeah, but check out cheeses. Like when I went to the Loire Valley one time with my parents, the parents' favorite part, my mom loved going to this farm that was off the side of the road, and they made their own wine and goat cheese.
Oh, nice.
And so the question for my mom was, do you want goat cheese that's like a week old, a month old, 6 months old, a year old?
Wow.
It's like, and then every taste was totally different.
Do they do
So
that for chocolate too?
different?
I mean, it's so similar like with the terroir and stuff like that. That you don't say, "Oh, this is the 2014 year." You don't do
Yeah,
that.
no, not so much. But like these guys, they're really into chocolate. So like Jacques Genin, Alain Ducasse, Jean-Paul Avin, they're gonna like tell the farm how long they want the beans to ferment,
Wow.
and that's what's gonna give all the characteristic flavor to the beans. So
It's
they're
like
gonna
science.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a science.
Yeah.
Very, very scientific.
Okay, let's whip through those other 3.
Yeah. So we've got Edward. It's like Edward, but with a T at the end.
Edward.
Edward.
Yeah.
So
Doesn't sound so good in English, does it?
no,
Edward.
it doesn't.
Edward. Okay. Yeah. And
He's
what's
kind of like the chocolate Nazi.
the chocolate Nazi.
Yeah.
Oh, as in like from the soup Nazi from
Yeah.
Seinfeld. Yeah.
Depending on the day and depending on what hat he's wearing, he can get kind of like in your face a
Wow.
little bit.
Are we going to go there?
We're going to go there.
We're going to. Oh man, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said his press agent's got to get back to me, but he was just in New York Times and Vogue, so
Really?
he said it's okay. He likes having my guests there and intimidating.
Does he
them.
know you call him the chocolate Nazi?
No.
I hope he's not listening.
So sorry, Edward, if you're listening.
But it's said in a kind way.
Said in a kind way.
Sure.
Patrick Roger is also good. He's fantastic, actually. His father's a chocolate chef as well for a long time. And we're going to also probably visit Bonnoir and Les Trois Chocolats. And those are 2 chocolatiers that are women. So the
Chocolatiers.
chocolatiers, yeah.
Because you can be a flaneur and a flaneuse, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Chocolatier and chocolatière.
Okay.
Peut-être.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah.
It might be, yeah.
So those 2 are run by women.
Yeah, and
Cool.
so she is the only like woman chocolatier that's ever won an award for chocolate in France. So in
Ooh.
2016, she made this special chocolate, and I'll tell you why when we go through on our walking tour.
Oh, I like it. It's a teaser trailer.
Yeah,
What was I going to say? So that's 5. You've done 5.
yeah.
Okay.
Did I say les trois chocolatiers? Les trois chocolats.
Yeah, you said that one.
Yeah, so she's like 3rd generation Japanese woman. Her grandfather brought the art of fine chocolate back to Japan. And she's like, okay, after my dad, my grandpa, like they did the thing in Japan, I'm going to bring the Japanese flavors back to
Cool.
Paris.
And she, was it her that did, because we had some chocolate tasting.
Yeah.
Cafe Miracle the other
Yeah.
day. That's where the chocolate was from, wasn't
That's
it?
where it was from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some unusual flavors.
Do you remember any of them?
I remember there was chai latte.
Chai latte,
There was
yeah.
matcha.
Matcha.
There's 2.
Yeah.
There were, 12?
One of them was the secret ingredient. That
One
we're
was
not
a
gonna
secret
reveal
ingredient. One
until
was
Thursday.
like spicy or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, one had black pepper
Yeah.
from mountains in Japan.
And they were all really beautiful. Like they've been really nicely designed.
Definitely.
So here's the question. Why are people... but did you explain the other woman-run one?
I did not.
What was
so,
that one?
Bonnoir is her name, and she's in Angers. So when you and Lena are going around, if you happen to go through Angers, they've got a shop there, in addition to the shop that we'll visit here in Paris. So
Okay.
she won an award in 2016 for this raspberry-filled one, and then last year in London, she won the best chocolate there as well at the
Cool.
International Chocolate Festival. So,
And
we're gonna
what?
taste
So is
both
the
those.
raspberry one the one that we should try when we're in there?
Yeah.
Okay. So all these tips, lovely listeners, they're going to be on the earfultower.com. These 5 tips. And if you've never checked out that website, I think it's about time that you do. TheEarfulTower.com. There'll be a story about this. Loads of other stories too.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to ask you, there's expensive.
Yeah.
What do you say to people who go, what? €1 for a piece of chocolate?
It's expensive.
Yeah, what
And
do you
there's a
say?
reason for it, right? Because this has only got 4 ingredients in it, 3 primarily ones. It's cacao mass, which is when they take the bean, they smash it, and they get this cacao mass, or called cacao liqueur, and that's half cacao powder and half cacao butter. To that, they're allowed to add just sugar and vanilla. So that's why it's so expensive, because well, there's another reason too. So like Hershey's and Mars and Cadbury, they take a bean called Forastero, super hardy, easy to grow on machine plantations, and it tastes like chocolate, but it doesn't have a lot of complexity to it.
Right.
So like these other 2 beans, like Criollo and Trinitario, they've got a lot of complexity, and they're going to pick up flavors in the soil. So what Hershey's and Cadbury and stuff do is they take out the cacao butter, they sell it to the cosmetic industry to get a lot of money for it, and then they insert like get ready for this because your grandma told you not to have this at any time, castor oil.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they do a hydrogenated castor oil.
So do you eat like Mars bars?
I have not in many years.
You're like totally against it. What if you're really hungry and you're walking past the Monoprix and you want something quick?
I still wouldn't do it.
You're in pretty good shape for a chocolate man. Don't they say never trust a skinny chef? It's probably the same with a chocolate tour guide.
I do a lot of yoga.
You do a lot of yoga.
Yeah.
That's the cure to eating chocolate every day
Yeah.
is yoga.
Today would be hot.
We're learning a
hot
lot.
yoga.
We're learning a lot. So it's justifiable to pay €1 because they really put the right ingredients in it a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And how about the French people and Parisians especially? What's their relation to chocolate?
You know, a lot of them, like with other things, they kind of stick to their own quartier, their own little neighborhood, and they like find their favorite boulangerie, they find their favorite place for pastry, for wine, and they just kind of keep going to that same place. So
Right.
that was actually how I got introduced to chocolate 10 years ago. My friend Corey took me to Bonnoir Chocolat, and I've been going there for like 10 years, and they know me pretty well. And so eventually when I started bringing guests in there,
Yeah.
it was super natural because they were like, geez, he's been coming here for like 10 years.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So, but I mean, in terms of enjoying chocolate as like a staple of their diet, are French people like that?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, so we know they go and buy their daily bread and their daily wine and their daily, they go to the butcher and stuff like that. Is
Yeah.
it sort of like that? Because I mean,
Well-
in Australia at least, and maybe in America, you kind of throw in a bit of chocolate at the supermarket at the end. You definitely don't go. I don't even know if there are chocolatiers in Australia. At least not where I'm from.
Okay. You from Perth or something?
Yeah, that's right.
Just kidding.
Well, I am, but I don't. Where I used to live, I don't remember there being any chocolate shops.
Right. There might
Yeah.
be now. It's come a long way.
Have you been there recently?
No.
How do
Been
you-
to Melbourne and they had...
Melbourne, yeah, Melbourne's a different story.
Yeah.
But in France and in Paris, are they sort of doing that as their weekly trip, the way they get their cheese to get a bit of chocolate?
I think they consider it like a special treat, and they're going to take it to somebody's place for dinner. So the
Right.
safest bet here, when if you're French and someone invites you for dinner, is to bring a bottle of wine. But if you really want to take something special, unique, and different, you can take chocolate.
You know what? I'm going to have to pull you up on that because John Baxter, regular on this show,
Yeah.
told me that you should never buy wine for a dinner party in France.
Is that right?
He said that, I hope it was John Baxter now, but I'm pretty sure. And he said the host might say, well, they don't think I know how to choose wine. I've paired the wine with the food. He said that you should bring flowers or chocolate.
Flowers or chocolate.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean...
just because he's a multi-book writing author doesn't mean he's
No,
right.
not right. There could be a lot of truth to that. But, and I have heard of that happening where people say, or they'll be very specific and say, this is what I'm having for dinner.
Yeah.
If you can bring Bordeaux from Grave, for example, and they can even like tell you like
Wow.
where to get it because they're like, okay, if you want to come, this is what I'm having. This is what I want to serve with it. And just in case we run out, we'll use that. If not, I get to keep it.
Yeah,
so that's
yeah,
kind of my
yeah.
philosophy.
So I'd stick with chocolate then,
Yeah.
because that's if I were to do a pie graph of what you told me and what Baxter told me, chocolate was the one thing that was in the center.
Overlaps, yeah.
So what should we do? We can sort of finish on this. If you give me the tip, this is a hypothetical situation because I don't get invited to French dinner parties. Unfortunately.
Last night I went to one. Tonight I'm going to one.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, you've been here for a lot longer than me, and people like you, evidently. But let's say I've been invited for the first time to a French dinner party, and I'm too nervous to buy the wine. I'm going to buy chocolate. What should I get?
So I would
What's
go...
it like to be safe all the time?
Be safe all the time.
Maybe not
French or American? Because
they're all French people.
They're all French people?
10 French people.
10 French people go to like Patrick Roger. Is totally safe. Jacques Genin, totally safe. And
what am I getting there? And how much?
They don't have. So you can buy French chocolate in two forms. One is either in a bar, which is a tablette, or in a bonbon, which is like the kind of square rectangular pieces that are filled with ganache, which is like a buttercream and chocolate.
Yeah.
So like sticking to like a single origin, like Venezuela, Madagascar. Those are kind of two of the top kind of prime. It's just going to taste like chocolate. Some of these other guys go pretty crazy and they embed like curry powder.
Okay, well, we're not going to go out there for this dinner. No. And how many am I getting? Do you get like one per person? Two per person?
I bring like 12. So like last night I was told there were going to be, I usually ask how many people are going to be there.
Yeah.
And so if it's like a group of like 5 or 6 and I bring like a box of 9, last night it was going to be 11, so I brought 12.
All right, so one extra one for you was
Exactly, I could take it home.
And then they did it as a dessert after the end of the dinner.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I think you've definitely taught me something. One can hope that you've taught the listeners something about chocolate too.
Hope so.
And I will wrap this up by saying I'm going to see you on Thursday. So if you guys are listening to this when it came out, it's this Thursday. What is it going to be? July the 5th?
July 5th, yeah.
July 5th, 5 p.m. Paris time. Yep. Could change, but that's the plan. We're going to go live on the Earful Tower Flâneurs group for Patreon members at $10 plus. If you missed the free trial last week, I don't know what you're doing with yourself. You missed the trial. It's not free anymore. And we'll see the Patreons there.
Yeah.
Or the patrons, which you're one, by the way, Michael.
I know.
I think you're the first supporter on Patreon to be on the show.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe the second. But
I just support you. It's hilarious.
What's But thank you for your support and thank you for being on the show. And I hope everybody's learned something.
Yep.
And your company, it's the Paris Chocolate Guru.
That's right.
.com.
That's right.
And all that will be on the site.
That's right. Yeah.
Any parting words?
Nope. Just eat chocolate. It makes you happy.
Oh, I got one more question I forgot to ask you. The movie Chocolat, or the book, what's the deal? Do you like it? Hate it?
I liked it. I mean, I saw the movie. So it kind of reminds me of when Americans come to my tour and they have not yet tried the illegal ingredients. And they put that in their mouth and they think, oh my God, I only will eat milk chocolate. Sometimes Americans say that.
Right.
Not all the time, but sometimes. And then I give them a piece of the illegal ingredient. Yeah. And they're like, oh my God. And then they like when the shop sees me coming, they're afraid because like my guests like buy them out of like all of it.
Really? Is the illegal ingredient cocaine?
No, but it starts with a C.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh. Now we're going to finish on that note. Thank you very much for coming in. See you on Thursday.
Great.
You're listening to the Earful Tower podcast.
Okay, there you have it. That was Michael Huffman. Check out his tours, Paris Chocolate Guru, parischocolateguru.com. And be sure to sign up on patreon.com/the Earful Tower if you want to see the walk shows. Speaking of the walk shows, I did, I think, 6 last week in a free trial for the people that wanted to sign up to see a little bit more. And 150 people signed up for the free trial. About 15, 20 people signed up. I think that's a pretty good score. So we'll celebrate that one with a beer, me and Michael, I think, on after the chocolate tour. But what I usually do at the end of this show is read a review or talk about honeymoon plans. Today it's going to be a review because it kind of fits in. I got one just the other day from someone called Suze in Paris. It fits in because she said the Eiffel Tower is her guilty pleasure, much like a chocolate. So here's what she says. I've absolutely loved this podcast. While taking 9 months of intensive French in preparation for my move to Paris, I found Oliver and his show becoming my guilty pleasure during my breaks from studying. 9 months of intensive French? You must speak better French than I do. Here I sit now on the tarmac, getting ready to depart for this adventure, and I feel quite prepared, more so from these insightful episodes than my endless hours of conjugating verbs. Merci, Oliver. À bientôt from Suzanne in the USA. 5 stars. Woohoo! So, you guys leave a review. They say it helps other people find the show. From the American audience, there's 83 reviews. I think that's a pretty good score, so thank you very much for that. I love reading them out on the show. What else can I say? Honeymoon plans, yep, still the same plan, August 15th. If you want to see all the live videos when we do the big trip around France in a heart shape on the scooter, sign up, $10 a month on patreon.com, and you'll see all the extra stuff in the closed Facebook group. Otherwise, keep enjoying the free podcast, and maybe I'll see you in Paris one day. À bientôt.